Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We got March Madness cooking as college basketball's conference tournaments are underway. Weenie, as Defo likes to talk about it, and Power 5. So we will definitely have a lot going on when it comes to that. I know South Florida isn't always big when it comes to college basketball, but the Canes seem to be a tournament team. So why not get behind Coach L and those Canes? Plus, we love gambling here, and South Florida is a big part of gambling, the world of gambling. So nothing better to gamble on than March Madness, the brackets attorney. So we will talk more about that as next week comes on, as Sunday is Selection Sunday, and next weekend kicks off the official March Madness and the NCAA tournament. But we did want to get into a little bit of NBA as Miami Heat, still number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, without Jimmy Butler last night, took it on the chin, on the back, and the face, got pummeled by the Phoenix Suns. And a team that is missing one of their stars in Chris Paul. The Heat were out of it early, often, and never made sort of any kind of effort last night. So we'll talk about the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, and honestly, who are the not only toughest test for the Heat, but who are the real contenders in the NBA, and are the Heat one of them, and where do the Heat stack up against the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference Elite today on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Good to be with you now because we have so many things to discuss here on the program. The NCAA is coming up. We'll have Blake Chadwick joining us in a few minutes here on the show. But in the meantime, Lubie is watching. And we've been asking this question, and I think it's a fair question because I don't know that they're a sleeper anymore. I mean, are you watching the Boston Celtics, Mike Louie Lubitz, and what they're doing, what Jason Tatum is doing? Nobody's talking about the disparities and the acrimony between and the fact that these guys can't coexist between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the Boston Celtics anymore. And I want to say that they've won 17 of their last 20, and they're pounding teams into Mike Tyson territory, Bolivian in the process. And then again last night, sensational back-to-back performances. Tatum with 50 points one night, 44 the next. No Celtic in history, Lubie. No Celtic in history has had back-to-back 50-point games.
Now, that's crazy.
Does that sound unimaginable to you in the history of the Boston Celtics? Like Hondo never went for 50 a couple of nights in a row? People didn't do it back then. And, of course, you didn't have the three-point shot. So that's going to enhance the totals. But, all right, so the Celtics are looking great. I mean, they're coming on. They were, I believe, sub-500 not that long ago. And now very much in the mix there, currently 5th in the standings.
Yes.
In the Eastern Conference. All right, so the teams that are dogging the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, they seem to be playing a high level of basketball, and they have all 3 of their guys, Middleton, Drew Holiday, and, of course, the Greek. What? Is he 2nd in the league in scoring overall? Antetokounmpo, playing great basketball.
He's
and very capable of
playing
great basketball.
He's tied with Embiid for 29.7 a game for the league lead.
Yeah. All right, this guy's averaging 30, and he has a supporting cast there of at least 2 other guys. Plus, I mean, they go, with a little bit of an expanded rotation. They have a lot of guys that can contribute on the Milwaukee Bucks. Very well-balanced team when they're in sync. They weren't playing great basketball earlier in the year. They seem to have it. Budenholzer, I mean, if he doesn't win the championship, he doesn't hold on to the job. But somehow he has them playing very good basketball right now in this last stretch of 15 or so games in the season. 76ers infuse their chances of winning by getting James Harden, who we know can and is capable of capitulating to being a guy that is as much of a catalyst as he is a scoring machine. And when you mix the two together with the right balance, Harden is one hell of a ball player to have on your roster when you already have the possible league MVP in Joel Embiid. So they're contenders. And I say all of this, and then you have the Chicago Bulls, who are having a great season, have been banged up and slumping of late, but, perfectly capable, you would think, of getting it back together to the level that they were playing at when they were surprising people, that they were right there banging on the door not that long ago, tied with the Heat at the very top of the Eastern Conference. So the question, Mike Louie Lubitz, is, are the Heat, as they sit as the best team in the East, a couple of games up on their closest rival or competitor in the Eastern Conference, they're the best in the East in terms of one-loss record? Are they the best team in the East? Are they the best team in the East? They lose last night to the Phoenix Suns, the
And they
best
get
in the West.
They got demolished by your Suns and Devin Booker last
They
night.
did, yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm thinking nobody really seems to feel like the Suns are going to win the championship, and yet they've been great all year long. They managed to overcome having talk about their catalyst, playmaker, distributor, facilitator, whatever you want to call it. Chris Paul is out now since the All-Star break, and they got injured right before the All-Star break.
Keep winning.
And it shows you how tough the All-Star game, what level it's contested at. When Chris Paul, with an injury that was going to end his regular season, essentially, still played in the All-Star game. Why did they just throw Will Ferrell out there while they were he was out there warming up Klay Thompson the other day. But the Phoenix Suns still managing to play at a very high level. This Ayton is underrated and is very, very capable. They knocked on the door last year and nearly won a championship. You thought they were going to take it down. They were up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks, who came back from the grave in virtually every series. And managed to come back and win. And my man Piscataway Ray was right about that. Because after they were down 2-0, he said, "Don't worry about a thing, Defo. Milwaukee's going to win it all."
Well, the Suns went into the tank. I mean, the Suns should have won that series easy. Like, Ayton, who you're talking about, was great until that third game, and it was like he forgot how to play basketball. It was like freaking weird the rest of that series.
Lost in space. He went all James Harden.
Yeah, he pulled a Harden. He looked very Harden,
Yeah, where you're wondering, I mean, who drugged this guy before he came out there?
Exactly.
Who put something in his food? I mean, he's just not playing like himself. I mean, he seems to be wandering around like a zombie in the Night of the Living Dead. But anyway, Phoenix comes to town. They crushed the Heat. The Heat did not have Jimmy Butler.
No Butler.
They have been able to overcome that in previous games where Jimmy Butler, he's been in and out of the lineup quite a bit. I mean, he's played a substantial portion of games this year, but he's been in and out. Jimmy Butler, as some of the other Heat players. Tyler Hero looks great. You had Duncan Robinson, early in the ball game. He's swishing every three. I think he had 9 points in the first couple of minutes. And Devin Booker really wasn't the main impetus for the early portion of the ball game. I kind of went away from it and I was watching something else for a little while. The Heat were looking like they were in command of that ball game in the early portions.
Early, yeah.
And when I got back into it, even though Phoenix was down, it seemed like they were down 10, 12 points in the first quarter and early second. And then all of a sudden they were right back in it before halftime, and they ultimately cruised away to an easy victory. I don't know. Do you read any significance into that? Mike Lubitz, a lot of people would say, hey, there you go. They're not as good as they say, but can you rate any Heat game in which Jimmy Butler is not a participant as a barometer of where they're at as a team?
Well, look, and I get it. Not having Paul should equal out not having Butler, but the Suns have sort of been able to stem the tide in the regular season without Paul. It's the playoffs where Paul really takes them to another level.
Well, he should be back for the playoffs.
And he'll be there for the playoffs.
Reports.
Butler, it's like that. That's what's funny is the Heat have overcome a lot of injuries, but it's with Butler there. They cannot have a hero. They cannot even have a band.
Yeah.
Butler is, and it's just like what Paul is for the Suns, but even more so for the Heat because he plays defense where Paul doesn't. He is their backbone defensively, and he is a lot of the time their impetus offensively. So without Butler, it's hard for me to gauge what they are. And they played against the elites really well. That's the one thing for this Heat group when people have given them crap is, but you're not, you're talking about all these other teams. They've beaten these teams. They're really good against the Bucks.
They creamed Phoenix on the road by 20.
So, and that was without guys. That was without guys. So, look, they played a lot lately, and there's been a lot of emotion getting Lowry back and getting Oladipo. So, I throw that game out last night. To me, it's not who's the best team. It's who are the best teams. Because to me, it's the Suns, the Warriors. I don't know what to do with the Grizzlies.
Have been in an abysmal slump. The Warriors have fallen apart at the seams.
I have a weird thing for them. I feel like when they get Draymond Green back, he's a lot like a Paul and a lot like a Butler, where he's a guy
that much of a difference maker. Where I mean, they've lost a ridiculous amount of games, and we're like losers of 9 of 11.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's 11 to 13 or something. But again, Green is that guy that his stats aren't amazing, but he does so much for them. It's a lot like what Chris Bosh, did with the Heat those years ago. I think the West, it comes down to 3 or 4 teams, and I think the East, the Celtics are weird to me because Tatum has taken that step to becoming a true superstar, but the rest of their team is so into me. I just look at their
what
lineup.
a mixed bag of stuff he does too, and confines of a single game. I mean, he'll be doing alley-oop dunks.
Oh, he does everything.
Grabbing the ball one-handed, shooting threes under pressure. I mean, shooting on the move. Throwing floaters up there, driving inside with twisting moves while posting a guy. I mean, really, as versatile a game as I've seen, and he does it without looking like he's really exerting. It's not like he looks like he's using maniacal energy out there. But, wow, I mean, he really has blossomed. That team is on fire. I mean, don't you like a team that's rolling in momentum as they come to the postseason?
You want a team that's hot, and again, they've, much like the Heat, they've been a playoff team, that group, for a few years now. I just look at their roster, and it's like, it doesn't match up with the Sixers or the Bucks or the Heat. Like, to me, the Sixers, Bucks, and Heat, if healthy, are like a different level, and then the Celtics are right there. The Bulls are a team I don't know what to do. It's just like the Grizzlies. Like, the Bulls and Grizzlies have played really well, and for some reason, it's hard for me to believe in them. And it's not fair to them because they've done their job. I don't know. I look at
the Bulls slumped recently. So
they've had some injuries, and it's hitting them. Yeah.
They're kind of moving backwards, at a time where you really want to be at your best. Or I don't know. I mean, the teams just go under wraps once Phoenix actually, with that win last night, clinched a playoff berth.
That's crazy.
First team to clinch a playoff berth in the NBA with like 15 games to go.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't had that kind of thing going since they had like Barkley and even going back to like Alvin Adams, the Phoenix Suns. As I mentioned, the Van Arsdales were shooting a rock the last time the Suns were a solid entry in the NBA. But, a great job all season long. I mean, they've maintained a level of excellence all year long. They've rarely slumped. They lost a couple of games, I think, the week before this in succession. But, they had reason. Booker was out with health protocols, which what's going on with that, Lubie? Where's COVID-19 in relation to sports at this point? Is it a thing of the past here? Is it Ron DeSantis time?
I don't think it exists.
Everybody just go out and party and let's get back to the strip clubs. No restrictions whatsoever. And it seems to be that way, and yet every now and then you'll see like a key player, like a Devin Booker, and no, he's got health protocols, which is a nice way. I mean, what is that about the semantics where they just don't want to say, a kid's got COVID?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. He recovered quickly enough, though, from whatever it was that he had. I don't know. The protocols are such that you may, I mean, don't you have to test positive for it to be knocked out of the lineup?
Yes.
Professional sports.
I don't even know if they're doing that.
So.
Tracy, look, the NFL's already come out and said they're not testing next year. Like, they're doing nothing with.
Let me ask you a serious question, though. Yes. Where's Dr. Fauci, man?
I haven't seen him in forever.
I mean, is he fighting in the Ukraine? Where is this guy?
That's a good question.
I mean, he was the face of this whole pandemic, and if it wasn't the Trumpster at first. With the idea, how many people out there did that work for you? Did you gargle with the Clorox? That
no,
was one
I never
of my
did
favorite
hydrochloroquine or whatever. No.
Just shove a little Flex Seal up your rear end, and that'll cure any problem that you have with diarrhea. Okay, Donnie, thanks, man. Glad that you ventured out there with your medical opinion here and chose the White House press conference to reveal the fact that you might be out of your mind. All right, we're coming back with more. Speaking about out of your mind, March Madness.
Yes.
What kind of madness? I mean, is this your favorite type of madness,
yes.
Lubie? I mean, you've been driven mad by women. You've been driven mad by your job, your circumstance, your desire to be like the next Bob Costas.
Or just to make money. Keep doing this and just make money. That'd be nice.
Stewards' inquiries. I mean, things that just drive you mad.
Yes.
But this March Madness, see now, and people, we always talk about it, right? I don't know. Are there office pools anymore now that nobody goes to work?
Oh, but what's cool about the online world is everything's online. I mean, we were doing it online before anyways.
Right.
So, I mean.
Right, and with DraftKings and FanDuel,
crap,
I mean, I would imagine, and all these other gambling entities, which we were discussing with Jason Cole yesterday on our Believe podcast.
Yep.
I mean, it's true. I mean, every other commercial during the Super Bowl at $5 million a pop was for some gambling entity.
Yeah.
Where is the world going? I mean, it's all going in that same direction, and that is people want to send it in, and this is a lot of fun, right? Because the office pool routinely taken down, never by the sports guy. Remember how embarrassing it was to finish last? I stopped participating in the pool.
Always. What do you mean? We were always the worst, and they would always, isn't this your job? I'm like, not really. It's my job to talk about it, but I'm not I'm not like
it was probably our weakest area. I mean, you watched at that time a little more college basketball than I did, but And I see enough of it to have like a vague idea, like a peripheral idea about what's going on. But, I can't say I'm any expert on it. That's for sure. But I will look for a team. I got to figure out what team this guy kisses on. I want to say it's Bryant, the team that beat Wagner. But it might be, it's one of the other schminky teams that's in the NCAA tournament. Look up a guy named Kiss, Kiss. He led the nation in scoring this year, at least from my understanding. And he might be
Kiss?
enough to carry a team.
What's that? Peter Kiss?
Peter Kiss. Who does he play for? Peter
His
Kiss.
jersey is Bryant. He looks like a madman.
Bryant. Okay. Yeah. No, he's great, this kid, man. What did he average? Did he average 30 a game?
Nation's top scorer, and he looks like a guy for Joe Hart. He's sort of a shooter, chucker, like bragger.
And he's cool, too. I mean, he knows he's got it, right? Now, when he has to step it up and go against the big boys, as will be the case, when they get to round one of the tournament, Bryant, is this guy going to, wither away? And, the glass slipper theory there quickly turns into a pumpkin with this guy. And the Cinderella story for you, Defo, is over.
I know, but this seems like a guy after your own heart. And this seems like a guy that if they can somehow win a game, he's going to steal the show of the freaking tournament. This guy
this
like
guy's an
Larry
exciting
Bird.
player to watch.
No, but he's like very obnoxious. And like he's like a J.J. Redick, arrogant kind of a thing. Like he doesn't give a shit.
He makes a gesture of some sort after virtually every basket, and most of the baskets that he makes are done in very emphatic, if not spectacular fashion.
Thank you so much for listening to the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. The Miami Heat still 2 games up in the Eastern Conference. Yes, of course, they're a contender. We've talked a lot about that. But where do they stack up? Are they the contender? Again, like I talked about with Defo, to me, there's 3 teams that set themselves apart in the Eastern Conference. Yes, the star power goes to the Sixers, but again, in the playoffs, you never know what you're going to get from James Harden. And honestly, Joel Embiid hasn't been a stud in the playoffs in his career, and their bench is sort of eh. The Milwaukee Bucks are the defending champions. They have a true big 3. And they have lost a lot of their bench from last season. That was a big part of why they won the title. So they are right there, but they have their, issues. And the Miami Heat, as deep as anyone in the NBA, they do have stars. They have that lunch pail mentality. But as you saw last night, without Jimmy Butler, they are a different team. Then you have the Boston Celtics, who Defo is high on. Look, it's hard not to be. They've won like 17 and 19. Jason Tatum is playing as good as anyone in the league. He's not an MVP candidate, but he would be if he played like this all year, scoring in the 40s, 50s. He's doing everything on both ends of the floor for the Celtics. They are sitting there at the 5 spot, a team that was out of the playoffs like a month ago. So they are a legit contender, the Celtics. It's just, to me, they're right outside of that top 3. And then you have the Chicago Bulls, who have fallen in hard times lately. But they've been good all year long. They've had some injuries. So who knows where they fall in the pecking order of the NBA Western Conference. To me, it's funny. The Denver Nuggets would be the scariest team. The problem is they have injury issues, and you know when those are going to get settled, even if they do at all before the playoffs or during the playoffs. The Suns are the defending conference champions, and they are legit. It's hard for us to take them seriously because they haven't done it. They made it to the finals last year at a 2-0 lead. Seemed like the better team and just fell flat, losing 4 straight games to the Milwaukee Bucks. And you have the Warriors, who were great all year long, get Klay Thompson back, and are struggling now. The issue is Draymond Green. You look at the stats, Draymond Green, he averages like 8. Yeah, but he does everything for them. He's their key cog defensively, and they were like one of the best teams defensively in the league before Draymond Green got hurt. And offensively, he distributes the ball. He can shoot. He can get inside. He is a leader, if not the leader for that team. Without him, they have fallen on ridiculously hard times, but he will be back before the playoffs. And it feels like that's your top 3 in the West. The Grizzlies are a really fun team. They really are. It's just they're so young. And we've seen the NBA, until you really progress, it's hard to just assume that team's going to win it all. But as you can see, we're ready for NBA playoff action. We're ready for the last month or so of the regular season. We'll talk a lot more about that. We'll definitely talk a lot more about the Miami Heat. If you want more of us, check us out Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 live on Ion Channel. Just Google The Defo Show, DEFO. You can check out exclusive content today. We talk with Josh Booty. Yes, that Josh Booty was on the Miami Marlins, the then Florida Marlins 1997 World Championship team, was a star quarterback at LSU under Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, and he's our conversation today on After Hours with Defo and Lubie on the Believe Network. Just go to Believe.com, search After Hours, and every day, right here, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We'll check you out tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.